Started. All right then. Hello and welcome to Jeb and Deswig Return to Kerbin. So, well, the story so far, just in case you didn't see the first part, do check out the first part of this on my YouTube channel. An amazing story of dropping a rover from a glider onto two astronauts. So the story so far. Let's have a little look. Jebediah Kerman and his unwilling passenger Deswig Kerman took a flight to Eve about 80 years ago in game time in a craft that was in no way tested or viable for this sort of thing. Rather than dying, they ended up soft landing on Eve. The parachutes did open, and this was all that was left of their ship. As you can see, this really wasn't going to go anywhere. They stayed here. In fact, you can see here, just here, that's the time since they took off. They stayed on Eve for 90 years, 291 days. They were marooned here until, after many, 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 many happy years of Valentina Kerman, the Kerbal Space Agency's most famous and most pioneering astronaut. She got into many adventures, discovered many things, and she hatched a plan to rescue Jeb and Deswig. In the original video, I sent a ship containing a glider and a rover over Eve, above these guys, and dropped it out of the sky, glided it down, dropped the rover came, Jeb and Deswig jumped in the rover, and then, oh boy, they had a wild time driving across the vast planet of Eve to their destination. What's their destination, I hear you ask? Well, let me show you. Before the rover arrived, Before the rover arrived, the Kerbal Space Agency also dropped a landing vehicle, a little bit like the Martian. In fact, almost exactly like that. The process of dropping the takeoff craft was extremely haphazard, extremely fiery and violent. It was really not easy. However, as far as I'm aware, according to simulations, it is just about capable of taking off from Eve and taking Jeb and Deswig into orbit. So, the goal for tonight is, can we get these two brave Kerbals who've spent the best part of 90 years together alone in a spaceship? Can we get them in this final leg of their journey out of their rover in the landing craft, and then the landing craft hopefully will lift off high up into orbit of Eve? What then, I hear you ask? Well. In orbit at the moment, going round and round and round, is the amazing, the intrepid, dun 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 dun. Long pause. Valentina Kerman. Here she is, coming up on your screens in the bottom right. There we go. Valentina Kerman in her special rescue craft, oh God, what have I called it? I think it's called the Valentina. She's currently orbiting the planet. This is the night side of the planet. She's currently orbiting, waiting for Deswig and Jeb to come up into orbit, into a low orbit, where she will then fly, rendezvous with their craft, and they will get out and they will float themselves into the passenger module of her spaceship. She will then fly them all the way back to the planet Kerbin, and I'll give you some idea. Hang on. give you some idea of where we are in the solar system. This is Kerbin here. Obviously, it's roughly analogous to Earth, and this is Eve. This is where they are. Basically, Venus. That's Moho there. So once she's picked them up, she's going to calculate a course that'll increase her orbit all the way around, intercept Kerbin around about here. But she's not just going to crash through Kerbin's atmosphere and parachute down. Oh, no, 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 no. That would be far too mundane. You'll notice that her spaceship is shaped exactly like an aeroplane. And there's a reason for that. If we can just deploy the landing gear. Not only is she going to get back to Kerbin, she is going to land with pinpoint precision on the runway at the Kerbal Space Center. And all three of them will get out and live long and happy lives, hopefully. There are parachutes equipped on this plane, just in case it all goes wrong, but we're aiming for a proper runway landing. Okay, well, without any further ado, good point. Without any further ado, let's get them going. If anyone wants to leave messages in the chat, that'd be fantastic. The first part of this is actually going to be very, very exciting. Then there's going to be I don't want to say lull, but a bit of a lull when we take them back to Kerbin, and then it'll get exciting again. So if you type anything into the chat, I will read it out and respond. It'll be wonderful. Is now a good time, almost asks, is now a good time to walk the dog, or will I miss something and there'll be some apogeic hiatus for dog walking in a bit? Ah, a lull, well answered. Yeah, I would recommend taking the dog out in about 15 minutes when hopefully we're in orbit. So, well, here we go. They're in their rover. This is the moment they've been waiting for 90 years, and it's finally here. Here we go. Come on, Jeb and Deswig. Let's go home. The rover's not working. Why is the rover not working? Oh, good start. This is a good start. Okay. Why is it going backwards? Brilliant. I mean, this is great. Okay. I mean, if this gives you some idea of what I've been dealing with. Okay, no matter. Let's reverse. Let's reverse our way to the USS Jebediah takeoff craft. You know, it's not an elegant thing. Now you'll see the USS Jebediah is looking quite small at the moment. That's because it's far away. We'll get closer to it, and you'll see the scale of what we're dealing with. Now, if anyone's watching this, looking for some sort of definitive how-to on how to take off from Eve, although obviously we will actually hopefully manage it, I'm not claiming this to be the perfect way of doing it. I guarantee there will be a more elegant way of doing it than this. This ship is substantially large. There's a huge amount of fuel on it. Oh, just a little bit of an explanation. The planet Kerbin's basically analogous to Earth. The planet Eve has gravity about three times the gravity of Kerbin, and an incredibly thick atmosphere. Which Kerbin is this? This is Deswig. I think Deswig should get on first. Yeah, it has an incredibly thick atmosphere, and taking off is unbelievably difficult. The power needed to take off from the planet Eve is considerable, which is why this is so massive. Fun fact: this ship, when I actually tested this ship on Kerbin, had enough power to leave the solar system altogether. It actually has enough delta V to get an escape velocity out of the solar system. On this planet, it's barely going to have enough to get into orbit. So you know, this has been a long time coming. So here you go. You can see now the scale of this. Look at that scale of this monster. Let's get rid of the nav ball. We don't need that for a sec. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that either. Do we think this is going to take off? You know what? I have faith. I have faith. Everyone's saying hello in the chat. This is lovely stuff. It feels like we're all in it together. Right, so here we are. Deswig Kerman, after 90 years, stood underneath the mighty engines of the enormous takeoff vehicle. The ladder, hopefully within his reach. Come on. Okay, he's clipping through the ladder. This is mildly concerning. Tonight could be. Thank you. And up he goes. Deswig, time to meet your destiny. This is quite slow. A more professional seasoned streamer might have thought of doing this before starting the stream, but not me. In fact, let's explain a little bit how this craft works. So you'll see here, the first thing you probably noticed are the landing struts. What's going to happen is, well, I'll show you. We have here we have two capsules, two different crew pods, one for Deswig, one for Jeb. I think Deswig has been through enough that he deserved the top one. On the top here we have a battery. Here we have a monopropellant tank for our little tiny jets. These are solar panels for electricity. Here's the crew pod for Deswig. Here's the crew pod for Jeb. Let's get Deswig into his crew pod first. In he goes. Deswig. There we go. Oh, we don't want that. And now let's get Jeb. Jeb leaves his seat. Oops. Jeb leaves his seat in the rover. The rover's been very, very good to him. Must be said. It's that long and exciting journey. It certainly did its job. And what fun that was. Okay. So Jeb runs towards the ladder. I hope in a way that when we take off the rover doesn't get destroyed. It'd be a shame. Anyway, here we have the landing struts. When we fire up these engines, the very first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the landing struts. Actually, that's not true. The very first thing I'm going to do, you'll see here that there's a ladder attached to this yellow thing, which is actually a stage separator. I have to detach the stage separator first, which might be a little bit dangerous and might scupper the whole enterprise, but let's see. Anyway, once we jettison the ladder, we'll fire the engines. When we fire the engines, we'll then get rid of our struts. What will then happen is these fuel tanks here, if I can just right click on them. Oh, I don't think I can right click on them until I'm in. These fuel tanks here will then rapidly deplete, and I'll drop them off. These fuel tanks will then deplete, and we'll drop these off. And these fuel tanks actually have tiny little rockets attached to them, because when I detach these big fuel tanks, they had a tendency to smash into the rest of the ship and blow it up. So these big boys, these big rockets, will be depleted after about a minute. That should give us enough oomph. I think it will get us to about 5,000 meters. Sorry, that should give us enough oomph to have enough speed for the next stage, which is where this ship is very, very badly designed. At the next stage, we actually start losing speed. It's a bit of a there we go. It's a bit of a design flaw that I never quite fixed. So that'll be exciting. We'll lose speed, and then bit by bit, we're going to shed engine after engine after engine until all that's left is a tiny little rocket with our two heroes here, left orbiting the planet Eve, where they'll then be intercepted by Valentina. Right, let's see what people are saying in the old chat. Professor Eddie Cox's planetary physics lecture. Yeah, that's nice. This is great banter, isn't it? Is it wrong that I want to see some kind of explosion? You will almost certainly see some kind of explosion. I